Ada sat on the cracked wooden bench outside her family's mud brick house, staring at the dusty road that led out of the village. At 17, she had big dreams of leaving poverty behind, of becoming someone important, and of winning the heart of Emeka, the school's star athlete. Emeka was everything Ada admired: strong, confident, and kind. But he barely noticed her, and Ada was determined to change that. Her family struggled to make ends meet. Her father worked long hours as a farmer, and her mother sold vegetables at the market. Ada's younger siblings often went to bed hungry, and she hated seeing them suffer. She vowed to find a way to change their lives. One evening, as she walked home from school, she overheard two men whispering near the village stream. They spoke of gold, illegal gold mining operations hidden deep in the forest. Ada's heart raced. Gold meant money, and money meant freedom. She could finally escape the village, buy nice clothes, and maybe even catch Emeka's eye. That night, Ada couldn't sleep. She thought about the gold and the possibilities it held. The next morning, she gathered her closest friends: Chidi, a tech-savvy boy with big ideas, and Nneka, a fearless girl who wasn't afraid of anything. Ada told them about the gold, and after some hesitation, they agreed to join her. The trio sneaked into the forest at dawn, following the directions Ada had overheard. The forest was dense and eerie, with shadows dancing in the early morning light. Ada's heart pounded as they approached the mining site, a hidden pit surrounded by makeshift tools and sacks of dirt. The miners were nowhere to be seen. "This is it," Ada whispered, her hands trembling as she picked up a small nugget of gold. "We can sell this in the city and make enough money to change our lives." They filled their bags with as much gold as they could carry and hurried back to the village. In the city, they found a buyer, a shady man named Mr. Bello, who paid them in crisp Naira notes. Ada had never held so much money in her life. She bought a new dress, a pair of shoes, and even a phone. When she walked into school the next day, heads turned. Emeka noticed her too. "Ada, you look different," he said with a smile. Ada's heart soared. As the weeks passed, Ada and her friends became bolder. They returned to the mining site again and again, taking more gold each time. The money flowed in, and their lives changed. Ada bought gifts for her family, paid for her siblings' school fees, and even treated Emeka to lunch. But the more they took, the greedier they became. Chidi wanted to buy a laptop, Nneka dreamed of opening a beauty salon, and Ada wanted to leave the village for good. They stopped thinking about the risks and focused only on the rewards. One day, as they were leaving the mining site, they heard voices. The miners had returned. Ada and her friends hid behind the trees, their hearts pounding. The miners were angry, shouting about stolen gold. "If we catch whoever's stealing from us, they'll regret it," one of them yelled. Ada felt a chill run down her spine. But the promise of more money was too tempting to resist. One rainy evening, Ada and her friends went back to the mining site. The ground was slippery, and the pit was deeper than before. As they filled their bags, they heard a loud crack. The walls of the pit began to collapse. "Run!" Ada screamed. They scrambled to get out, but Nneka slipped and fell into the pit. Ada and Chidi tried to pull her out, but the ground gave way, burying Nneka under a pile of dirt and rocks. "Nneka!" Ada cried, digging frantically. But it was too late. Nneka was gone. The village was in shock. Nneka's death was a tragedy, and Ada felt the weight of guilt crushing her. She couldn't eat or sleep. Emeka noticed her sadness and tried to comfort her, but Ada pushed him away. The miners found out about the theft and came to the village, demanding justice. Ada's secret was exposed, and the villagers turned against her. "You brought this upon us," they shouted. Ada's parents were heartbroken. "We raised you better than this," her father said, his voice heavy with disappointment. Ada knew she had to make things right. She returned to the mining site, not to steal, but to apologize. The miners were furious, but Ada begged for forgiveness. "I was wrong," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I thought gold could buy happiness, but it only brought pain." The miners saw her remorse and decided to give her a second chance. They allowed her to work with them, not as a thief, but as a helper. Ada used her earnings to support Nneka's family and to rebuild trust in the village. Emeka stood by her side, impressed by her courage. "You've changed, Ada," he said, "and I admire that." Months later, Ada stood at the edge of the forest, looking at the mining site. It was no longer a place of greed and danger, but a symbol of her redemption. She had learned that dignity and human life were far more valuable than gold. As she walked back to the village, Emeka joined her. "You've come a long way," he said, taking her hand. Ada smiled. "I've learned that true wealth isn't in gold or money. It's in the people we love and the choices we make." The villagers were divided. Some admired Ada's courage in seeking redemption, while others couldn't forgive her for Nneka's death. The elders called a meeting to decide her fate. Ada stood before them, her head bowed, as they debated. "She caused a tragedy, but she's trying to make amends," one elder said. "She must face consequences," another argued. Finally, the village chief spoke. "Ada will work to rebuild what she has broken. She will help Nneka's family and contribute to the village's development. This is her punishment and her path to forgiveness." Ada accepted the judgment, determined to prove herself worthy of their trust. While working at the mining site, Ada discovered a hidden ledger. It contained records of the miners' dealings with a powerful businessman in the city who exploited their labor. Ada realized the miners were just as trapped as she had been. She confronted the miners' leader, Musa. "Why do you let him treat you like this?" she asked. Musa sighed. "We have no choice. He controls everything." Ada vowed to help them break free from the businessman's grip. Ada, Chidi, and Emeka devised a plan to expose the businessman. They would gather evidence of his illegal activities and present it to the authorities. But the plan was risky. If they were caught, the consequences would be severe. "Are you sure about this?" Emeka asked. Ada nodded. "It's the only way to make things right." The trio traveled to the city, where they met with a journalist named Kemi. She agreed to help them expose the businessman, but warned them of the dangers. "He has powerful friends," Kemi said. "Be careful." As they gathered evidence, they realized the businessman's network was larger than they had imagined. One night, Chidi disappeared. Ada and Emeka searched for him, only to find out he had been captured by the businessman's men. They were forced to make a difficult choice: continue their mission or save their friend. "We can't leave him," Ada said, tears in her eyes. "But if we stop now, all our work will be for nothing," Emeka replied. Ada and Emeka infiltrated the businessman's compound, using their wits to outsmart the guards. They found Chidi, bruised but alive, and managed to escape. "I'm sorry," Chidi said. "I should have been more careful." "We're in this together," Ada replied. With Chidi safe, they focused on gathering the final piece of evidence: a recording of the businessman admitting to his crimes. They disguised themselves as workers and attended a secret meeting, where they captured the incriminating evidence. Kemi published the story, and the businessman was arrested. The miners were freed from his control, and the village celebrated. Ada felt a sense of accomplishment, but knew her journey wasn't over. Ada used her earnings to build a small school in Nneka's memory. The villagers, inspired by her efforts, joined in to help. The school became a symbol of hope and unity. One evening, Emeka confessed his feelings to Ada. "I've always admired your strength," he said. "But now, I see your heart too." Ada smiled. "You've been my rock through all of this." The businessman's associates sought revenge, threatening the village. Ada and her friends had to protect their home while staying true to their values. The villagers came together to defend their home, proving that unity was their greatest strength. The threats faded, and peace returned. Ada stood at the edge of the forest looking at the school and the thriving village. She had found her purpose, not in gold, but in the people she loved.